Good morning and Happy New Year. We come to church to learn and be motivated by stories. So as I tried to write this, I kept saying to myself, how is sharing my story going to fit this criteria? I'm still not sure I got it exactly right, but here's what I'm going to say. 1. Try not to judge based on what you see. 2. Our own perceptions are reality, right or wrong. And 3. You may never know how you impact someone's life, but you have to try. So let's start with a little bit about me. I have helped raise 14 foster kids, been on the American Red Cross Disaster Services team, on the board of Bucks County Associates for Fox Chase Cancer Center. I am a retired global operations vice president and spent 45 years in the insurance industry. I'm married to William, have one daughter, Lauren, a son-in-law, Dustin, and two grandkids, Austin, 2.5, and Paxton, 2 months old. I have skydived, traveled to Africa and Europe. I'm one of 7 siblings, the son of an auto mechanic who also worked 2 other jobs to support his family, and a mother who babysat other kids to help make ends meet. But that's not who I am. Those are just the facts. We are all made up of so many components that define us: our upbringing, our beliefs, our support structure, our environments, and our communities. And what we have done and how we've experienced those things define who we really are. Many of us hide behind what we think our society wants us to be. I know I did. These thoughts, feelings, and pressures also define us to who we are today, how we act, how we think, and how we respond. There is a saying, perception is reality, and each of us can hear and experience the same thing, but based off our own prior experiences, our perception today makes us how and what we hear and experience our own personal reality. We do that with our lives today. We experience something and that becomes the normal, our own real reality. I have great memories growing up of my family, going camping, road trips to visiting my sister in Columbus, Ohio, going to visit grandparents, shopping at Goodwill and Robert Hall. My perception was we were pretty much like everyone else, when in fact, the reality was we struggled for money, it was tight, Dad worked 3 jobs while fixing cars in our garage. My personal reality as a child was one of feeling different, not fitting in, being scared all the time, and not knowing why, all while having very few friends. I still remember the feeling of going to Sunday school and refusing to go into the classroom. I was absolutely positive the teacher was the witch from The Wizard of Oz. You remember her, how she looked riding her bike with her little dog. This teacher was a spitting image of her, standing there welcoming us all into her castle. It was frightening. If I went in, would flying monkeys surround me? Would she change into the big bad witch in front of me? They actually had to go and get my dad out of church, not once, but several times, because I refused to go into that room. Now I know it was not her, at least I think, LOL. But it was my reality. I experienced something and now it was real. Elementary school was tough. Being afraid to walk to school for fear of the neighborhood kids who would tease me or knock my books down. Then running home after school so I was always ahead of them. Junior high and high school was not easy. I did everything I could to not get noticed. This continued in high school, so I went to a different high school so not to have to deal with the kids that I knew. I was also so uncomfortable and generally unhappy. Mom and Dad only knew I wanted to go to a vocational school, not the real reason of how scared I really was and unhappy. This, again, was my reality. I started washing dishes when I was 13 and a half, then went on to Vaquero's restaurant where I worked full-time 30 plus hours a week until I graduated high school. Yeah, having a paycheck was cool, but I did it to hide, not to have to deal with other folks. Now that we all are graduated and in the real world, my perception is I have to have a job, I have to get married, I have to have kids. So, not to disappoint, that's what I did. In 1989, the biggest blessing of my life happened with the birth of my daughter. All pretty normal, right? On September 11th, 2001, I experienced the planes hitting the towers while in Manhattan. I was one of the last cars through the Lincoln Tunnel before they closed it down behind me. What an impactful day that was for all of us. After travel resumed, I had to travel to all of the offices throughout the country with a coworker, and every time we went through security, he would be stopped and I would go through. After about 4 trips, I asked him, "Does this not bother you?" and apologized. His reality, although an American, he was of Indian descent and was being profiled and had to live with what that was for now. In 2006, after years of hiding, questioning, trying to live what folks expected of me, and trying to please everyone, I made the decision that I would not do it any longer. I was gay, and not being true was killing me. I was ready for the worst and made a plan. Needless to say, hardly anything went as planned. What would my family say? What would my daughter say and do? What would my friends do? Well, my daughter's reaction was, "So? I still love you. You're still my dad." My brother said, "Yeah, we always kind of thought so. Makes no difference." And my 3 sisters said, "We still love you," and became my biggest advocates of love and support, one of which is here today with some of her family. I'm not saying it was not a learning curve for all of us. We all came at it from a different perspective, but we had a common goal, a common vision, that of love, because that's what we learned as kids. On the other hand, I have lost a sibling in my life that was once so very close to me just because we have a different understanding of God's teachings. My world came crashing down in 2004 when I made a complaint that ended up in a federal action and investigated as a whistleblower complaint that took 3 years of litigation. I went from the top rung to the bottom rung in a matter of months. I lost a fabulous high-level 6-figure income and 3 houses at the age of 55, no opportunities for employment, not eligible for retirement benefits, and a savings of 401k that was being drained. We had to rethink life and finances. I ended up selling my houses and moving within the year. In the next few months and years, I faced collections, the sale of our rental property, and the sale of our vacation home. So now, years later, we are still faced with the impact those decisions cause. But the perception of many was, "How lucky are you to be retired and not working? Wow, I wish I could do that." Trust me, you don't. Why do I share all this? Because we never know what's behind the door of someone. My father has a saying that none of us knew the real meaning of until after his death. No matter what he was facing or feeling, his answer was, "I'm fine." After his death, we found a poem he kept that reads, "I'm fine. There's nothing whatever the wrong with me. I'm just as healthy as I can be. I have arthritis in both knees, and when I talk with a wheeze. My pulse is weak, my blood is thin, but I'm awfully well for the shape that I'm in. I think my liver is out of whack and have a terrible pain in my back. My hearing is poor, my sight is dim, but everything seems to be out of trim. But I'm awfully well for the shape that I'm in. I have arch supports for both feet, or I would not be able to go on the street. Sleeplessness I have night after night, and in the morning I just a sight. My memory is failing, my head is a spin. I'm peaceful living on aspirin, but I'm awfully well for the shape that I'm in." The moral of this, as this tale we unfold, that you and me are growing old. It's better to say "I'm fine" with a grin than to let people know the shape that we're in. Why is this important? Because we can't let our perceptions be our reality. We have to look under the covers, past the I'm fine. We cannot know how folks will respond to good, bad, or any news. We cannot prejudge them, and we may never know the impact you have had on a person's life, but that does not mean we shouldn't try. I have been blessed to have learned a few areas of impact that drive me now. One is the unconditional love folks can have even when faced with information they may not like or understand fully. The second, a classmate reached out to me over 40 years after graduation in 2005 via Facebook Messenger saying, "Are you the Mike Flanagan from Garfield High School?" I said yes. She went on to say, "Do you remember Mr. Chapman? He was yelling at me while in line for graduation. I was so upset and crying I was going to leave." She said, "You came over and gave me a hug and told me not to worry about him. That meant all the difference in the world to me." So here we are, 40 years later. She's reached out to me to say thank you. Something so simple became so profound and meaningful to her that 40 years later, she wanted to say thank you. Why am I telling you this? Because you never know how your actions may make a difference. A simple wave or a kind word. I told you earlier we had foster kids. One went back to live with his mother, and after about 2 years, out of the clear blue, he calls us to tell us he got a B on his math test. He knew how important learning was when he lived with us and wanted to share his news. Getting involved in the community can and does make a difference. You may not be able to be a foster parent, but every gift you made to the Bethany this past Christmas, every donation to social action functions you supported, every repair you do here at church means and makes a huge difference. We never know how we impact folks, the impressions we leave on them, or what will impact them. So I ask you this: what's your story? Are you setting examples without regard for praise and recognition? What are you leaving behind? It's all about experiences. It's all about lessons. It's all about change. It's all about perceptions. It's all about reality, and it's about love. As the incoming president, my goals for the coming year, like our parents, is about investing in the future by looking for ways to keep the faith in our family, us, together, while laying down a foundation for their kids, our grandkids, and our great grandkids. So, where do we need your help? Our trends are 20 years in the making. We cannot fix them overnight. We need your help to understand it. It will take time, money, change, and your support, patience, and understandings to get where we need to be. We are working to understand and ensure all financials are clear, documented, and available to everyone. Bear with us as we work through this. We are moving from storing data on individual desktops, computers, to more secure web-based and cloud-based storage. This will ensure we have historical data for years to come and is accessible to all. Help us by volunteering to scan documents, sort files, or working on a committee. We need your help. We are going to leverage what you've heard Phil talk about in November, the 2020 financial goals, and review each of them and put detailed plans around them and track them for progress. But we need more folks to get involved and volunteer. I want to make sure you know that the same 30 people are on most of the committees. In December of 2022, we are losing 5 chairs that cannot serve again. We need we need more folks to come and help with new ideas. Please consider joining a committee now. Don't wait to be asked. Simply join a meeting or let us know you're interested. We'll get you involved. We also want to ensure we are reaching out to our full audience, all of our members, non-members, online, in person, and the community members, and the like. There is tons of passion and love here. We need to leverage this, and we need your involvement. We need to continue to be able, our community focus, and look for even more ways to support the community. But most of all, we need to find ways to increase our membership and our financial support. It's important to know that the consistory's meetings are always open to all. If you have an idea or topic, let me know so we can add you to the agenda. We are meeting the third Tuesday of each month at 7:15. And please remember, perception is someone's reality. Now let's all go out and do a random act of kindness today. May God bless you and keep you till we meet again. Thank you.